For many of us, our true ambition is to live well and with as little medical intervention as possible. This is a gallant dream that often has curveballs, and they push us into medicine, medical procedures, and medical advice. What we do know is that we wish for those days when our food is our medicine, where our movements are easy, and our mental health is optimistic and enduring. When we have them, things are glorious and we can feel like we're on top of the world. And then suddenly, it's like the rug gets pulled out from under us and we're treading water and can't seem to find our footing. My guest today, Dr. Michaela Jones, knows the reality of our situations personally. And she's dedicated her life to finding the tips and tools to help us find the field of beautiful flowers and possibility, even if we're surrounded by or in front of challenges and obstacles. Michaela is a multimodality, integrative, holistic health specialist, blending traditional naturopathy, homeopathy, nutrition, emotion release, and energetic work for the health and wellness of the body, the mind, and the soul. She's a doctor of naturopathy and a board-certified holistic health practitioner with over 25 years of experience in natural health and nutrition. She works with adults and older teens who struggle with chronic issues and mysterious ailments, and who have tried everything but still have not found relief. She helps them connect the dots between the physical, the emotional, and the energetic root causes, and helps them address those causes holistically so that they can truly heal and live symptom-free. Are you ready to be inspired? You're listening to Be Well with Michelle Greenwell, and this is sponsored by Dance Debut Inc. and the Cape Breton Tea Company. And I have a great welcome. Hello, Michaela. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, so to get started, let's get the affirmation card pulled. That's going to lead our listeners down the road of discovery for their own goals. And as they're listening today, we're setting up an intention. We're going to follow that through with some action, and it gives you a chance to get a balance before you finish listening to this podcast, which is a great way to spend your day. So I'm going to hold up this card. So for those who are not watching, who actually can't see, it's and it's kind of hard in the light here. It's green and yellow, and it's part of the fascia spine part where you have the fascia coming off the spine and it looks like branches coming off. That's actually what the picture looks like. And the colors green, yellows, whites, light colors. So this has to do with the note of E. Logic balances artistic tendencies while responsibility and exploration support free flow. Challenges are met with robust overview for the greatest successes. When I read this, I was just, Michaela, this was like you and I in our discussions and all the challenges that you have faced. It was like so perfect. Lower thoracic spine is what this supports. So you've got the bottom part, kind of where the arch of the back is, and it's linked to the solar plexus chakra for those people who connect in with the chakras. Okay, so as I say all that, does any of that kind of pull forward some ideas, Michaela?
Oh, absolutely. The solar plexus, in particular, it's connected with our self-esteem, our self-confidence, and our personal power. And I have found that that plays a huge role in health and wellness and our ability to heal. Because a lot of our ability to heal is our belief that we can heal, and our self-determination to do it, and our self-esteem and confidence that we can do this, and we're going to put the effort in to make the changes that need to be made. So yeah, and it's also very the area is also connected to support, and particularly that particular area and the support also kind of ties into like the support we get in childhood and from our families and things of that nature, which can also affect our health too. So that one was very, very, appropriate for what we're going to be talking about today. So amazing, awesome. Thank you.
And just so people know who haven't listened to the podcast before, the deck comes from the Affirmations for the Body and Biofield deck, which I created with Tanya Levy. And it's in the shop at dancedebut.com if you're interested in taking a look at it and knowing more. But what I do is I hold that deck up and I cut it. I don't look for the right card. I actually just cut it to find out where we're going to be. And inevitably, it always pulls something so powerful from it. So, yeah. Okay. And to have a sip of something to help the transition for those people who are listening, what did you put in your mug today?
Well, I would really like to have one of your teas, so we're going to have to get on that. The whole Canadian American thing. We got to figure that out. But today I am actually drinking an organic turmeric ginger tea. So I particularly like drinking that tea each day because one of the big things that I teach about is body inflammation. And turmeric and ginger are both really good for reducing body inflammation. And as you know, I've had some challenges of my own here lately, so lots of stress. So when there's lots of stress involved, it increases the inflammation in the body. So being able to do other things that can bring the inflammation down is very beneficial. So if I can do it in the form of drinking my daily cup of tea, I'm all for that. So that's what I have today.
Beautiful. And what is your mug?
Oh, it says, "You are amazing. Remember that."
Oh, I love it. And it's bright green with flowers around it. Oh,
Yes.
that's lovely. Awesome. And I chose Symphony of the Earth. So this is from the Teas with Intention series, which is part of the company. And it has the orange rooibos in it, which gives it a lovely color, but it's also has orange as a part of it to go with it, which brings you to gut health and instincts, the ability to connect to nature. All of that comes through with the way the blend's put together. So I put it in my clear glass because the color is just so beautiful. I've started to realize tea really is art in itself,
Yeah.
and so we get used to the black blends looking dark, but they actually don't. They actually look different depending on how they're put together. And I hadn't really caught on because I always used a dark colored mug, but I've changed over to trying to enjoy just some of the different beautiful colors that come from the tea. So I've got bright orange for those people who are listening on the podcast. So cheers, Michaela. Thank you for joining. And as we say in Cape Breton, slange. And well, let's have a sip here.
Mm. Yeah, I like the ginger in the tea too because it's very earthy. So yeah, so
Mhm.
you're drinking an earthy tea. I'm drinking an earthy tea.
Exactly. And what I love is that opportunity we have, we're empowered by just choosing tea. That's it, and we can make such a difference. Because, like you said, just that opportunity to just influence the dulling down of the inflammation and through sipping.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's dive into our topic here. And we want to talk about chronic pain and how we can release chronic pain. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you got into this subject and the kind of the road that you've had that's led to you being where you are?
Sure, I'd love to. Well, the road is a very winding road. So just bear with me here. So I have always been into health and wellness for a really long time. I used to call myself a new generation hippie. So so I was always into health and wellness and eating good food. I was eating quinoa before it was like the thing to do and all that kind of stuff. Used to make my own soaps and lotions, all of that stuff. But eventually, my husband and I, we adopted some children from foster care who had some serious issues. They had medical issues and they had a lot of food allergies, 28 to be exact. And it was quite a bit of challenge. So I started out on the track of helping others with them because my goal was to try to help them overcome their food allergies. At the time that all this was going on, because they're adults now, at the time all this was going on, there wasn't a whole lot of resources there. So but because of the type of person I am, it's like, I'm going to figure out how I can do this. Okay. So it started off there. And as I went along, I started running into other people that had food allergies, didn't know what to do with them, and that kind of thing. And so I started helping people with food allergies. Then, as I went along on this long, winding road, I started to discover all of the, emotional anchors and everything else that was involved in it. And um, and I'm trying to keep the, for the sake of time, I'm trying to keep the story, a little shorter. But eventually, I ended up having my own health issues that I also needed to deal with, and I was hospitalized with a large ovarian tumor, which caused obviously a lot of pain, a lot of issues for me. And so, in trying to take care of my children, I let my own health go by the wayside,
Which
which,
happens for a lot of people.
which happens for a lot. So then it was I I had to figure out a way to bring myself back.
Mhm.
And so I started adding more tools to my tool belt in order to do that. And so along the way, I picked up all of these additional modalities, which is the reason why I call myself a multimodality, because I always tell my clients I am not um, stuck on one modality. I will use whatever is necessary to help you to get from point A to point B.
Mhm.
So I utilize every tool that I have. We don't have to do just one thing. We can do multiple things. We will do whatever we need to do to get you the relief and the help that you need. So long story short, started off with my children. Then it was to help myself, and then it was I need to help other people that are going down this same road, that are sitting there like going, what am I going to do? I have no clue how to deal with this. Because even with me, with my children, we went to pediatricians, we went to allergists. They were all like, well, we don't know what to do. We've never seen that many. And as a mother, it's like, I'm going to figure this out. Okay. With me, it was like, oh my gosh, we don't know, where that came from, because, you're fairly healthy, where's this coming from? Which now I know where it came from. So the things that are available are not always the answers that a person needs. So I am now dedicated to helping people connect their own dots and find the answers they need for their health in order to, be better for themselves. And everyone is different. So their story's different, their journey's different, their underlying causes are different. So it's about helping them to understand what their issues are, the true issues are, and what they need to do to address those issues. So that's my story in a nutshell. I know I told you, a long winding road.
Well, and it's fascinating, right? Because you start on the road of trying to recover, and you find a tool that works, and it works for a while, and it's like that layer's gone, and then another layer appears, and then it doesn't require the same tool, it requires a different tool. So it's its own education piece, because your body continues to raise the layers and the issues and the pieces, asking you to go and find what is required. And
Yes.
it is a convoluted road, because you think, oh, I've got it, this works so well, and then just a few minutes later, It doesn't, it's just, and that's, I say that on behalf of my own journey and how many courses and tools I put into my own tool belt. And it's same, you're pulling out what works right now for
Right.
this person. Yeah.
Constantly learning, for me, it's never ending. It's like constantly learning, constantly adding more tools to the tool belt because, as you said, it's a layer, and what works at one time may not work another time. And you just need to have all those different tools available so you have stuff to choose from.
Exactly. Exactly. So if we go to the topic of chronic pain, do you want to talk a little bit about the power of chronic pain? I guess that's the best way to say it. It's a screaming message for us. So how do you approach that with the people you work with?
Well, chronic pain is one of those things that when the body's in chronic pain, it's like it's screaming at you and is trying to get your attention.
Mhm.
Um, as I said a little earlier, everything has an emotional anchor. Every disease has an emotional anchor. That's the piece that a lot of people miss, and that's a piece that allopathic generally misses. They don't put the emotional factor in there. So everything has an emotional anchor, and chronic pain itself is a symptom of inflammation, which is one of the reasons why I teach so much about inflammation, because inflammation is kind of it's like the underlying cause of just about every modern disease there is, whether people realize it or not. And it's a symptom of that chronic inflammation. And inflammation itself is generally born out of some sort of trauma. Okay, so there is good inflammation and there's bad inflammation. You do want inflammation. So, like if you're sick, inflammation comes about when your body is fighting off, viruses, bacteria, or whatever. If you break your arm, inflammation comes up when the bone is healing. You want that sort of inflammation. It's when it becomes chronic and it doesn't go away, when it's finished doing its job, that it can cause issues. And most of the time, it's from the body being in fight or flight for extended periods of time.
Mhm.
So you need to. So if you're in chronic pain, your body's screaming at you, trying to get your attention. You need to figure out, why are you in fight or flight? Well, what's going on there that has you in that worked up stage that is making your body scream at you so much?
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, don't sometimes it can be just pure physical, but we all know that even with the physical stuff, there are energetic causes behind that too, or energetic contributors. Okay. So it becomes about, why is my body doing this? What is it trying to grab my attention about? What is it telling me?
Mhm.
So
And
there is the power of that chronic pain, is that, what is my body trying to tell me? What is it that I need to correct?
mhm. And I always enjoy, uh, not in a sadistic way, just I enjoy the opportunity that when a chronic pain either shifts or changes. So it
Yes.
might lessen or it might just move to another part of the body.
Yeah.
Then you're playing with emotion. It's not structural, because so many people get caught in that it's structural. My knees hurt all the time. It's alignment, it's structure. But then when you find out not necessarily,
Right.
and it disappears and it comes and goes, for me that's a lovely message, right? It's emotion. I can do something with that. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I'll take it one step further too, is that many times where the pain is will give you a clue to where the emotion is and what's going on.
Hmm. Hmm. Exactly.
That's another thing that people miss. So yeah, so the location of that pain will give you um, some clues. For instance, if like colitis, so I'm just using this as an example. Colitis is, in the colon. Generally it's inflammation. Any type, by the way, any type of itis means inflammation. So uh, the colon It's all about holding on to old past stuff.
Mhm.
So if you're getting, that pain in your gut, in that lower gut area, it's like, what are you holding on to that you need to let go of?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And then people will say, there's nothing there, or I did that already. But as we were talking about those layers,
Hmm.
you may have, but then that allowed the next layer to actually find a voice that it never had the opportunity to have a voice before. Yeah.
Yeah, I always tell my clients it's like pulling layers off of an onion. It's like you're trying to get to the core of the issue, but there are all these layers on there that you have to pull away each one, and they're not always linear either. Some people think it's linear. It's not always linear. So
Hmm.
it could be something over here, and then you pull that layer off, and then there's something over here, and you pull that layer off, and you just have to keep pulling till you get to the real root of it, and then deal with that root. And sometimes, it takes a little bit to get to the root. And sometimes it's not what you think it is.
Hmm.
Most times it's not what you think it is.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to throw a little bit of curveball because you and I didn't talk about this before, but it's something that has come up for me for the last couple of weeks with different people that I've been talking with. And that's been people who are in chronic pain and those blocks that are there and wherever it happens to be showing up, that also puts you in a frame of mind. So you speak from a certain place and you also think from a certain place because of the way the chronic pain holds on. Do you find those kinds of things change once people start to find the way to let go?
Absolutely, absolutely. As I just spoke about, the chronic pain usually is a symptom. It's not the disease itself, it's a symptom. And everything has an emotional anchor, and those anchors are what holds you in place in that negative space. So when you're able to deal with those emotional anchors, and if you think about an anchor on a ship, the anchor holds you in that place. Sometimes it's good for the short term when there are storms coming through and everything. But once the storms pass, if you still have the anchor dropped, you're still in that same location and you're not going anywhere. So you need to be able to pull that anchor up so you could set your sail again to go whatever direction it was that you were trying to go. And so those anchors will hold you in that place, hold you in that mindset, and your mindset determines your speech, how you interact with other people, how they interact with you, because we all have our own vibrations. So, and other people interact with the vibration that we're putting off.
Right. If you're
So
angry, that's the way they perceive.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So when they're able to get past that, and they get those anchors. Some of the release work I do, there are specific names for some things, and some things be things like despair anchors, which is exactly what it sounds like, holds you in a place of despair. Then there's things like broadcast messages. Those are things that are going out on your vibration, that I call them piggyback vibrations. So it's like that stuff that you're putting out there that people are picking up on. It's like, oh, I don't know what's going on with her, kind of thing. And so I find when they're able to deal with that, it causes a shift, not only subconsciously, but also physically and in our energies and in our vibrations, which changes the way um, changes the way that we put ourselves out there, which also changes the way other people interact with us. And so being able to deal with the physical part of the chronic pain, which shifts the emotional and energetic part of it, also changes us, changes our relationships, can totally change our lives.
Hmm.
So, again, it's all interconnected. That's why I'm all about connecting the dots.
Exactly. And I'm just thinking as people are listening who maybe have had chronic pain, holding a grip for a while, um, if you start to think about, it's not just that pain, it's how people perceive you, it's how you're interacting in the world or not interacting in the world, and that's not permanent. It could be different, it could be very different, and things where I find judgment kinds of concepts that come in, and the way people say things. And it's not that they even were holding on to a bias or anything. It's just that being in that chronic pain keeps them responding in a certain way. And they don't realize it because it's just normal for them.
Right.
And so for me, that's just the impetus for why you would want to dive into how can I release this pain?
Yes.
And what is my journey going to be? And
Right.
how far can you take them on that journey, and how far can they start to explore for themselves the tools that are going to be most important for them?
Right. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that people really need to know, that I work with a lot too, not only with the physical issues, but those mindset changes, because the mental space that you're in can also affect your ability to heal and your ability to move forward and your ability to deal with whatever's going on. People that have been in chronic pain for an extended periods of time, I find sometimes that they have come to believe that this is the way things are and there's nothing they can do to change it. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you don't believe that it can change, it will never change.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we have to deal with those mindset issues, those limiting beliefs, those things that are holding you back, on a mental plane as well. So
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. But, they do need to know that it can change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you walk me through what a session might look like when they come to see you?
Oh, let's see, a session. Well, everyone's unique. So everyone's session is generally going to be different. But at the very beginning, generally what I like to do is I do my own version of an intake, which would be looking at all the different issues that are going on. I generally like to start with asking someone where they are and what they want to accomplish, where they want to be. Okay. That gives me an idea of what it is that they're looking to accomplish, and whether it's, I wouldn't say doable, because most things are doable, but it sets the expectation. So it's like, what is it that you're really looking to accomplish? What kind of time frame are you looking to accomplish it in? What are you willing to do? That kind of thing. And then I look at background. I look at their physical background. I look at their emotional background. I look at where they are currently and where they were as well. And then I will do different analyses, and I have multiples that I do, because since I'm multimodality, I am a naturopath, but I'm also an energy healer as well. So, so I do some physical checks, and I do some emotional checks, that kind of thing. I also do frequency medicine as well. So I will also generally do like a body scan on them too, because that will tell me what's going on inside of their physical body as well. So I do all of those things, and then I put them all together, and I start to see if I can see the dots that are there already.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we do our first official session, it's based on what was found in the initial. And so generally it will be, we'll have a discussion on the front end. It's like, okay, what's going on? What is it, that you want to accomplish? What did you do this week? That kind of thing. People think it's kind of weird, but words have energy. And so I have these little discussions with them, even though it seems random to them. The words have energies and they have meanings. And so I can tell a lot about where a person is by the words they choose and what they say.
Mm-hmm.
And that sets up what that session is going to be about. And so we have a chat. Then, I may do some sound therapy with them. I may do some frequency medicine with them. I may do some energy release or some emotion release work with them. I may give them homework that they need to do, like some sort of tapping if we're dealing with some deep subconscious stuff that we need to bypass the ego to get to change that. Or I may tell them, okay, we need to change your diet because the stuff that you're eating is not agreeing with you. Okay. So we need to change that. And sometimes with dietary changes, we have to baby step that because it's hard for people to just change that on a whim. Um, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Everyone's different, like I said, and depends on what shows up on the front end. And our initial conversation at the beginning of the session will determine what the rest of the session looks like. So, but that's it in a nutshell.
And I love the looking at what is their goal?
Yes.
Because a lot of people will come in and the goal is like with celiacs, as you were talking about that, or any bowel kind of pieces. I want to feel better here, and then that's nice, but what is it you want to be doing that you can't do currently?
Yes.
That you've pulled yourself back from because of that pain, and people aren't often thinking about that. They're thinking about, I just want to get rid of this pain, but you have to be even forward of that as to why would you need to release it, because you need that extra little push of,
Yes.
this is why, and then there's value. I love that piece. And I know when I start talking about, now that you've accomplished that, what do you want to do next? And people, when they have no answer, they get quite frustrated that they have no answer, but they haven't even been thinking that way. So it's always lovely to pull them through that conversation and give them the space to start actually really dreaming. And I think with chronic pain, there's that lockup that happens, and the brain really does lock up. It just can't see past.
Yes. I've often had to do vision work with some clients too because they can't see past the pain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, let's do some visualization here. Like you were saying, it's like, if you didn't have this pain, what would you be doing? What is it that you really want to do? So have to get them out of the mindset of, I can't get past this, to, what if I could get past this? And if I could get past this, what would I do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I've even tripped up myself, using that process as well. I usually work in group settings rather than individual, but still asking those same questions. And so I stop myself sometimes because I'll go to say something and I'll catch myself, like you said, listening to the words that come out of the mouth. And then you go, why do I keep saying it that way? And then realizing I truly want to actually do this activity, but there's nothing actually really stopping me from the activity, except for my little phrasing that has determined I'm not going to go there for whatever reason. And I'm always surprised. We do this for a living. We still have to do those check-ins.
Yes.
And so I know when people come and they go, well, that didn't work for me, I still have my pain. Well, it's not just going to run away and never come back. And it can run away and produce the next layer. And then you have to be ready for that next layer to say, okay, I'm successful up to this point, and now where am I going to head? So I'm just inviting, for the people that are listening, it's a journey, like you said. It's that spiral. You're not really knowing for sure, and you think you're going one way and you go another. And but it's the journey of discovery. I think you'd say the same. It's so rich in the end.
Yeah, I always say that health and healing is a journey, not a destination.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're not really just kind of trying to go from one point to the next point. It's more of point to point to point to point.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not know what the next point is until you get to the next one. And then you'll see something for the next direction you want to go. Then when you get there, the next direction you want to go. So it's a journey. It's really never ending. It's like you may have a goal initially of what you want to accomplish, but then once you accomplish that goal, what's your next goal?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And then that's the exciting part to watch when people open up to that and you see that look on their face. I could do that.
Yes.
Or they come back to visit and they say, I did that.
Yes.
And now here's what I'm going to do. Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I've had clients that I will help them get to the next point, and then they feel like they have enough to be able to continue the journey on their own, which is great because I'm all about teaching people how to take care of themselves and do what's best for them. But then I'll have others that will get to the next point and then they still need some help to continue on. So they'll stay with me for a while, and that's okay too. So it's like, I'm here to be your guide and help you in whatever way you need, whether it's for a short term or for a long term. It's like, I'm here. So, and I really enjoy helping them discover what they can accomplish rather than looking at their limitations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always amazing. It's always I get a really good feeling from being able to do that for them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to really describe. It's a feeling. It's it's a vibration. It's like, and in some ways it's kind of selfish, but it isn't because I enjoy it and I enjoy helping others. So yes, I get something back from it. I get this boost of joy that I've helped them accomplish something. And they're even if they don't get to their end point, if they get the aha of this doesn't have to be this way, you know, I can change it. It can change. I don't have to live in this negative space anymore. It's worth it for that alone.
Yes. Yeah. Um, you said something, and uh, what came to my mind is we, the way that we're raised, and we're raised to be independent thinkers. We're raised to be able to do it on our own, and we want to do it on our own. And I think we're actually really not taught or guided with how to ask for help. And so a lot of people who end up in chronic pain issues haven't known how to reach out to get the help they need. And it just continues to create the lockup. You're nodding your head. So, and it just occurred to me just now, we don't really talk about how to ask for help.
No, we don't, because as you said, we're raised to be independent. We're raised that when you're strong, you do these things on your own, you stand on your own 2 feet, and all of that. That's embedded and ingrained in us from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that contributes a lot because when things start to go south, you don't know how to ask for help, or you think that asking for help makes you weak.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of that, particularly with my male clients,
Mm-hmm.
because they're always taught to be the strong ones.
Yeah.
You real men,
Yeah.
and asking for help generally is a sign of weakness for them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes even asking for help from a female can sometimes be a little hard for them as well, until
Mm-hmm.
they start seeing the results, and then they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes a little bit to kind of get underneath those layers, particularly for male clients, to get them
Mm-hmm.
open up. But on the female side, though, as well, females from very beginning, we are brought up to be the nurturers,
Mm-hmm.
take care of everyone.
Yeah.
We generally are in roles of self-sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And so by the same token, we don't like to ask for help either, because it's like, I'm supposed to be able to do it all.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes, even in dealing with the physical stuff, we have to go back to those mindsets and those core beliefs and that stuff that's ingrained in us from, from childhood, and change that programming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
And I'm thinking about, so now you've asked for help. The other piece that we're not taught is how to accept it,
yes,
right?
yes,
Because someone will say, just let me know if I can help you. And you say, oh, yes, thank you very much. End of discussion, because you know you're not going to go ask for any help.
right.
Um, and so then too, when you struggle, even somebody goes to help you, you say, it's okay, I've got it. And it's just our way of, you don't want to inconvenience anybody, put them out in some way. Um, it just makes it really hard for us to connect in a way that allows us to give and receive nurturing all the time.
Yes, yes. And and we all need help sometimes. Even those of us that are the professionals, sometimes we need help from other professionals,
Hmm.
because we put our all into helping our clients, that sometimes we forget about us too.
Hmm.
Because we're not perfect, just like no one else is perfect. So sometimes even we need help, and sometimes I think even us professionals have a hard time asking for help as well.
Who do we want to work with? What kind of tools do we like? What kind of result do we want? We know too much.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Now you have some tools that you wanted to offer to those people that are listening. Do you want to share your offering?
Absolutely. So, as you know, one of my big things is chronic inflammation. I know that it is like a buzzword these days, but I don't think most people even really understand what inflammation is. And inflammation, chronic inflammation in particular, is generally the underpin of, as I said earlier, just about all modern disease. Okay, so if you're suffering from any type of symptoms like chronic pain or fibromyalgia, any type of itis or anything like that, even like excess weight that you can't lose, skin rashes, migraines, all of those are symptoms of chronic inflammation. So it has kind of become my goal to help people in general to understand more about what inflammation is beyond the buzz.
Mhm.
So, two of the tools that I have is, one is called 5 strategies to fight chronic inflammation. Now, sometimes people are like, "Well, I don't have chronic inflammation, so that's not for me." Blah blah blah. So, but I have found that 90% of my clients have inflammation they have to deal with in order to deal with everything else. They think it's one thing, but it's something else. Okay. So
Mhm.
there's also an additional tool of an assessment that you can take to find out if chronic inflammation is an issue for you. So it literally is just like an assessment of you. You go through, you check boxes of what applies to you. What type of symptoms or things that you've seen in yourself, those kinds of things. And then it tallies them all up and it gives you a score that gives you like a level of where you are and whether, inflammation is probably a factor for you. So, and if they download the five strategies document, there is a link in there to take the assessment as well. So you get both, you get two in one. So so it makes it easy that way. So if you think you might have information, or you just want to just understand a little bit more about it, and by the way, even if you don't have information, the guide actually is really good just from just general overall health, because it has tips of things that you can do, and lifestyle and habit changes, as well as healthy foods that can keep inflammation at bay. So even if you're not dealing with inflammation now, you may deal with it at some point in your life, because most people do. You will have those tools that can help kind of keep everything under control as well. So I encourage everyone to grab it, even just to have it as a tool in their own arsenal, if you will.
Mhm.
Just to have those little tips and techniques of what they can do. You know, if you get sick, which we all get sick at some point or another, some of those things would be beneficial for you to help you stay healthy and to not allow the inflammation to go from the good inflammation to the bad inflammation. So that's what I have to offer everyone who is listening today.
And how do they find it?
They can find it at www.livingnaturallyforlife.com/freebie. So really easy.
Perfect. Great. And it'll be also in the show notes, so people will be able to look it up and actually link from right there. But just in case you're listening and you're just wondering where, then you have the chance to go and check that out. That's perfect. And I was just thinking, as you were saying, how when you get sick, you end up with inflammation. So really, it doesn't matter who you are. At some point, you're going to be in and out of inflammation. So just trying to keep the good and the bad, well, the good from progressing to bad, but also misidentifying, I guess is the best way of saying that. So yeah, beautiful. Thank you for that. I wanted to ask you, as you're moving forward with what you've prepared now and the kinds of clients you have been seeing, what is on your legacy list moving forward?
Oh, my legacy list. Oh, wow. So I just want to reach as many people as possible to help them be able to help themselves. And as I move forward, one of the things that I want to do again is to be able to reach more people. So I'm looking at doing more of group programs where I can leverage more time beyond just the one-on-one, because there's only one of me, and to be able to empower them to make the changes they need in their lives so they can have a nice, long, happy, healthy life, but also be able to influence the next generation and maybe change some things for them as well,
Mhm.
which can affect the generation after that and the generation after that. In my work, a lot of the emotional issues that have been contributing factors came from generations or things that were taught to us by our culture or our parents that just passed along. So if I can help people to be able to change that dialogue for the future,
Mhm.
I feel like on the other side of this, my legacy can reach many more people to help them to make those changes they need so they and their families can be healthier for the long run. With, you know, we've been talking about chronic pain in particular today. Chronic pain keeps a lot of people bottled up, bottled inside. They don't interact with their families. They don't participate in all of the fun stuff. And they don't live their life to the fullest.
Mhm.
So if I can be a small part of helping them live their life to the fullest, so their families can see them live their life to the fullest. So they will live their life to the fullest and teach their children to live their lives to the fullest. And they will teach their children to live their lives to the fullest. Then I feel like I will have accomplished something.
Mhm. Beautiful. And you commented about going to some group activities so that you have time to reach more people.
Yeah.
And what I love about energy work is when other people bring it up in a group setting, we all benefit.
Yes.
So you can do one-on-one sessions and be very specialized and personalized. But at the same time, when other people come in and they've got another issue that hasn't really appeared for us yet because it's not quite our layer, but it appears as a group, we have this power to shift all of it at once. And I love that because it's so empowering in a different way.
I love group work because it's like the power of intention in the group just magnifies everything exponentially.
Mhm.
And it's just an awesome feeling. I love being in the energy of that group intention of lift, even if you're working on one person in the group and the other group and the other members of the group is focusing their attention on that, it just lifts it that much more. And it's just such a powerful loving feeling. So
Mhm.
absolutely.
And I just wanted to point that out for people listening because I think a lot of times what happens too when we're sick, right? And you were talking about the pulling yourself and isolating, not being involved in things. It becomes the same thing when you're looking for help. You go one person at a time and you see who you can trust and you try to get there, and it's a slow process. So when you allow yourself to open up to the possibilities and reach into a group atmosphere for just trying things and just getting involved, and then being able to go one on one for those pieces where you go, I really need one on one, but I can really benefit and magnify those one on ones by being involved in the group. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And there's also additional benefit of the group too, because I think it helps some people to be able to see I'm not the only one.
Mhm. Yeah,
And they don't feel so alone anymore.
exactly. Especially when the whole group is nodding their head, going, I so get it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they go, I did this, I tried that, I did, and and then it's like, wow, look at the empowerment that comes out of that. Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. Michaela, how can people find you?
Well, the easiest way to find me is on my website at livingnaturallyforlife.com. There are, multiple ways you can contact me. There's a phone number there, there's an email address there. The easiest way is to use the contact form though, because it comes directly to me and you don't have to worry about whether the server, blocks it or because some email systems, like I won't name them, some of those big freebie ones, they like to not be nice with emails. So so the easiest way is to use the contact form. If I also offer a free brief consultation as well if someone wants to just kind of chat with me and see if they even like my personality. And because there, don't get me wrong, there's a practitioner for everyone. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. So so, so they just wanted to kind of chat with me, kind of see what I'm about, and if we even jive. I do offer a free brief consultation, which can also be scheduled directly from the website. So if you go to the website, there is a link that to request a consultation as well. So that's going to be the easiest way to contact me. And yeah, I would love to, chat with anyone who is listening that might be interested in, finding out about all this crazy stuff that I do because, I do have a lot of tools, in my tool belt. Again, that's why I call myself a, integrative holistic health specialist because I blend different things and everybody's blend is different. Just like teas, the blends are different. So
Hmm.
it's, to bring it back to the tea discussion, is like, I like to find the right tea for each person.
Exactly, exactly. Now, I always like to finish off with some kind of movement. Just people have been listening. They might have been driving in their car. They might have been sitting at their desk, or maybe they're just doing work and they're frozen in their position. What can you offer as a movement piece maybe you use every day or that you recommend to your clients?
Oh, wow. Let's see. Well, my favorite is I love doing Tai Chi, but, but for people that are just kind of writing and stuff, I find that breath work works the best.
Mhm.
And I just like to just be able to, take really deep breaths, like at least three in a row. Just, use the hands, to, you know, lift up and bring the energy up, and then flip the hands and push down, bring the energy.
Okay, so for those people listening, you took your palms and you brought them from down in below the belly button, and you were pulling it up, kind of like um, what do I want to call it? Uh, what a depressor piece, but you're pulling it. Okay.
Pull it up and kind of pull it up almost to the chin
Mhm.
as you deeply inhale, and then flip your hands and then push it down as you exhale and go back to the starting position and just blow it out. Then flip again, come up, inhale deeply, flip, push down, exhale. One more time, inhale, up, flip, exhale. And then if you want to end it off, you can take your hands and lift them up straight out to your sides and bring them up, put them together, and then pull down center.
So the palms are together in front of the chest.
Yes. And just in there.
Awesome. Um, what I noticed from Tai Chi, because you mentioned Tai Chi, and my mom, when she's teaching the seated Tai Chi form, you
Mhm.
take those hands and put them together, palms together, and then pull them down in front of the chest. The breath automatically changes,
Mm,
which is really interesting. And I didn't realize that just how you hold your hands can
yeah.
actually change your breath. So very powerful. So just for those people listening, you can give it a try and see how that works. I wanted to do the ear rub. And this is a way to open up movement, but also the breath. So to bring in the breath as well. And the ear rub, if you wanted to turn your head just to see what it feels like before you start. And I know we did deep breaths with you, so we already deepened the breath. Otherwise, it would check in with the breath too, and just to see where it's at. And then just taking can be the same hand as ear, or you can do opposite hand to ear. And you're just going to unroll the ear from the top to the bottom. And it may not seem like you're doing much movement, but just by unrolling the ear, I'm going from the top to the bottom 3 times. So I did a second one. Third time, I'm going to go a little bit closer into the ear and just kind of give a little tug at the same time. And that little movement moves inside and opens everything up on the inside. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So now you can probably feel the heat of the ear as everything's firing up and it's like, I'm alive. So let's do the other side, just so we've got it even on both sides. So you're unrolling just the edge of the ear, just unrolling the ear, and from the top to the bottom, and then go back to the top and just do a little bit more. And then a little bit deeper inside and just giving a pull on that one. And same, the breath automatically does a nice drop there, which is lovely. But if you turn your head just to notice what it feels like, you may notice you've got a different range.
Oh, yeah.
And
Awesome.
it might have evened out so that if it was a little bit tighter on one side over the other, they might have evened out. But the other thing that's really interesting from the movement perspective is when you go to turn, you'll notice and we're both sitting down at the moment, so you can notice it quite easily when you're sitting. Right from the base of the spine, when you go to turn your head, you'll notice that your whole body is going to want to make the turn.
Oh, good.
Before, when I asked you to turn your head, you would have done turn the head, and it would have been just the neck because it was isolated. But what we did is integrated it. So now the whole body is going to make the turn. And when we turn the spine, we inspire all the organ systems and all the muscles off of that. So that little ear rub can be very powerful in a movement perspective. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Michaela, it's been lovely to chat with you, and you just have so many powerful tools for people. I love the approach that you take. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing and the people that you're reaching out to, and how you're reaching out in a bigger way now as well with your group work. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been lovely chatting with you, and thank you for the ear rubs.
This
I can
next
utilize that now.
Yeah. I use the ear rub constantly, and it's lovely with traveling. So I know we're recording here in the summer. This might not be heard until the fall, but for those people that are doing some travel opportunities, this is a great way to tune the body up, but also to bring your body clock on if you're crossing time zones. So
Mm,
that can be very helpful too. Especially if they're bigger time zones, and you just think about what the time is where you are while you're rubbing the ears, and that can help to bring the clock on. So
awesome. I love that. Yeah, I've had to help clients reset their body clocks quite a bit. So this is great. You just gave me another tool that I can use.
awesome. And it's easy because I have lots of other ways to bring the body clock on too, but some of them are a little bit more intricately involved. This one's the easiest one because you don't have to know too much. You can just rub the ear. Yeah. Awesome. All right, as we bring this to a close, season 3 is devoted to the transformational process that happens when people reach into their authentic selves and they create magic. Our season has several publications that happen through the month. And so we hope that by changing the focus of each podcast as it's released, we're hoping that those topics and tools are going to be able to empower you in a much stronger way as you live your true heart's desire with love and compassion for others at the forefront. Thank you for joining us. This is Be Well with Michelle Greenwell, wishing you the courage to face your own transformation for the well being of those around you. Have a great day.